I can't even remember all the phases that we go through. There's times when you're just mad when people get babies. There's times when you're just sad and want to cry. There's times that you encourage yourself and say, oh, we're going to have a better life than those people and we're going to see the world. Kind of bluffing yourself. But
this is not really what you want, but it's like you're still.
But we'll make the best out of plan B.
Plan B.
And then not knowing God really had plan A lined up for you. Good day everybody, my name is Kobus. For those of you that don't know me by now, or if Kobus is too hard, you can just go with KB. And this is the story of baby KB. Me and my wife were married for 4 years and we really wanted to have kids, and we were struggling, tried everything that we could, and that was part of the reason that we probably moved to New Zealand, to get away from the fact that all our friends and family had kids, and it was hard. It made it even harder dealing with it, living within that raising kids environment. So we thought, let's choose a different life. If that wasn't planned for us, we'll go to New Zealand and rather see the world and make the best of what we have.
So you guys have just given up,
Yes.
basically.
We've given up emotionally, financially. We couldn't anymore.
We sold our house in South Africa because we don't need a house with 4 bedrooms. We're only 2 people. We're never going to fill those rooms. So why do we need a house with...
When we bought the house, we had the dreams of filling these rooms and having children running around in the garden, and then we really made the decision that, okay, this is not for us. There's a lot, it says in the Bible, not everybody will have children. So we just thought, okay, then we are those people and make the best of it. But that was hard. And that's really something that I'm always the guy at work or at school or wherever where I like to take control of things and make things work. But that's the one thing that you can't do, is we can't give life.
Can't fix it.
Yeah, that's the one thing that me as a husband, I can't do anything. And I usually were that guy that can do anything. So in New Zealand, we were fortunate to have a little bit more... Oh, you want to sit? Okay. It's not the end yet, it's actually, you're not in the story yet. So what happened is we were struggling and it didn't work out for us, and I won't go into too much detail, but after a while, probably last year, a year ago, I had this dream. And so in the dream I was walking in the streets of Cape Town, and there was this homeless person that came to me, and she had all these homeless people around her, and I remember, like, I didn't want to even talk to her because she was dirty, and I didn't relate to her. She was like a beggar that was on the streets, and she came up to me with a big smile and she said, "Congratulations with your boy that you're having, and we are all so happy and excited for you about it." And then I told her, "Listen here, you didn't get the facts. We just heard that day that out of the 12 embryos, only 1 made it, and before that IVF, we already made a decision that if this doesn't work, then we're gonna stop playing God, and we couldn't afford it anymore." And I told her, "So obviously you didn't get the brief. It's the odds is against us. It's not gonna work." And the 1 embryo that did make it is of a very weak quality. So, and then this woman told me, listen here, how can I tell her it's not going to work? I can't see what she sees, and I'm not coming from where she's coming. At that moment I realized it was an angel talking to me, and it was also angels that were sitting in the circle with her discussing this, and they were like super excited about this boy that's going to be born. And then the dream went on, and we walked down the street, and then the next moment I was following this man, and there was wars in the street, and I kind of felt like this is family that I'm following, but it's a leader walking into this war in the street, and everybody's following him. In any case, I woke up from the dream, and I told my wife about it, and we kind of decided, like, maybe we should give that. We had that one embryo, and then we still had another embryo from a previous IVF that also wasn't good quality, that almost was discarded. And then I told my wife, maybe we should just put these two embryos in, because it was a tough decision, because we didn't want to go through miscarriages again, and we didn't want to go through that whole process again. So we decided to go ahead with the two embryos that had a very bad odd of surviving. And then a couple of weeks passed, and we decided to do the implant. We went for that. And then I had another dream. It was a year ago, and I remember it was blood moon. So what happened is I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was talking to God, but I was almost like in a way arguing with him. And earlier the night we were looking at the moon, because it was bright red full moon, and so God told me in the middle of the night, go out and look at the moon. And I went out, I looked at the moon, and the moon was behind clouds. I couldn't see it. So then I asked God, so why did you get me out of bed like 2 o'clock in the morning? It's freezing and I can't see the moon. But I knew where it was, because we were looking at it hours earlier. And then God said, the fact that you can't see it, does that mean it's not there? And then something snapped in me, and I decided that we've got these embryos, we've got them in the nest now. What are the chances of them growing? Because we don't believe it, we've never seen it before, but we kind of know it's there. And then I made a change. For the first time, I started going to people, asking to pray for us. I thought, let's give this little percentage that we have, let's give it everything. And I went to the pastors, asked them to pray. Whenever I knew someone was a Christian, I said, can you pray for me? And I told him the story. And as it progressed, the embryo just kept on growing. If we went for the 6-week scan, heartbeat perfect. It was always stronger than it should be. Then after a while they started doing measurements, and they would measure, he's like on the 90th percentile of where he should be. So he was always like stronger than he should be. And then what happened is I read in Ezekiel 37, I think verse 6, where Ezekiel was looking at the dry bones, and God told him, if you start praying for these bones, I'll put tendons on them, I'll put muscles on them, I'll put flesh on them, and they'll become human again. But then in verse 6 God said, they will only be coming alive when I put my breath in them. And then I realized that I should pray for God to put His breath into this embryo, because the previous embryos, they had the bones, they had the skin, they had everything, but they didn't have life. and I realized that life comes from the breath of God. And then I started praying every morning on the way to work. God, can you put this will only work if you put your breath in it. And he kept on growing, and he was born more than a 10-pounder baby. I don't know the stats, but apparently that's big. And as he grew up, the nurses came. He was born. Wow, the miracle happened. And then as the nurses came every week, he was always in that 90% to 100% percentile. He was like top of his class before he even went to school. And yes, now he started walking at 10 months. So it's like, and what I realized is we always looked at the odds. Like this embryo is a 1, 2, 3 ABC. That's a bad odd. But God is a God of against all odds. So the odds that we as humans think like, oh, that's a bad odd, that's a good odd. That was a bad odd according to the doctors. But look at him now. He's reaching all the limits. So our odds isn't God's odds. That's the one thing you can't buy, you can't work hard for, you can't steal it, it can only come from God. Really. And I think that is probably the thing that we've learned the most. That, and the thing is, our odds isn't God's odds. He's against odd God, I want to call him.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it was hard. It's easy to talk about it now, but yeah, I've got condolence for people going through the same thing, but I do want to encourage them, don't give up on God. If anything, that's what you need to hold on to, because that's the only place where life comes from.